Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I'm back with another review. And today, we're finally taking a look at, from the Transformers Siege line, this is Voyager Class Springer. Yes, I know this review's a little late, but as I've explained in the past, when newer figures come in that I can get like a first review up, I usually will have to prioritize those videos over older figures. And really, one of the reasons why I'm doing this one now is I still see a lot of people having problems transforming Springer, and I thought, well, maybe I can help. We're starting in robot mode, and this is how I normally would display Springer, holding one of his blasters and his sword. And then you can store the extra weapons here on the back. His other sword, the connector bit for the rotor blades, and the other blaster. Just to note that the tabs on the side of the backpack do often cause an issue. Hold the swords, but they can be jostled very easily. Articulation is very nice. As you saw, I had him in a nice dynamic pose. Other than that, really not much to robot mode. There's the battle damage, pain effects, and what have you, and he's decorated with 5mm ports and blast effects. So you can add on your assortment of weaponizers, battle masters, and micro masters. We'll pause and we'll take a closer look at the accessories. As I mentioned, Springer comes with this little bit, which is the connector piece for the swords to form the rotor blades. Two blasters, which can combine like so to form a longer rifle, and his two swords. Unfortunately, the swords do come slightly warped out of packaging, but they do feature the sword connector piece for the various blast effects, which I think we have about 2 or 3 now. I think you can use the blast effect from Terraxle on this as well. My one complaint is, now obviously these weapons are here because of the combat system gimmick of the Siege line. I would have preferred a more traditional loadout for Springer, which included a sword that transformed into the rotor blades and just one blaster. But I see what they did. One thing you can do is form a combined weapon. On the rear blaster here, there are tabs that can hold the sword. I recommend pegging them on in a way that the curve goes inward so it's not that noticeable. And then you can just, with this piece, the instructions show you using it as a grip, but then it will spin. I usually leave it off to the side. If I'm not using the swords, you can then just put it on the back, and it gives it a little bit of an extra stock. And it's supposed to be like a sniper rifle or something. To form the rotor blades, what I like to do is the little blast effect nubs, I like to position in alternate directions, and then that spins, just like so. Obviously, there's a lot you can, since this is a modular system, there is a lot you can do. So, that's about it for the accessories. We'll pause and get into the transformation. Okay, so what we're going to do is, the instructions show you going from robot to car to helicopter. I'm going to go in the reverse and go from robot to helicopter to car. I think that's something that a lot of people show and could be very helpful. So we'll start by coming down to the legs. And first, let's get the arms out of the way so we have plenty of space. The first thing you want to do is spread the legs out all the way to the side and then bring them down on that inner hip joint. And then what you want to do is rotate at that lighter green point, not at the hip joint, to bring them around. And don't worry if they're not exactly lined up, because you will be moving them around. Bring the feet out of the way, flip, and just unhinge that whole section. Bring this whole section around, which was the inside of the ankles. Come inside to the feet, and there's a little what will be the tail fins. Just bring those up. Do that on both sides. And you can bring the legs together just like so. Make sure this is how you can make sure everything's lined up properly. Make sure just like that, just like that. Make sure you peg the tail fins together. Oh, that's interesting. They're not going together. Oh, there we go. Give them a little push. Make sure everything's straight. And then what you can do is flip this section up and around. So the feet will be facing, the heel of the feet will be facing towards the rear of the copter. Bring that in just like so. Make sure it's lined up. And that's the rear. Now we're going to come around to the front. And to start off, what you want to do is come around to the shoulders here. Bring that section up and out. And then you're going to bring this section back. But before you do that, fold out the what will be the front little skids of the copter. And then rotate it around so that it's facing down. And then peg that rear section of that that we folded out from the shoulder into the back of the fist. And that should be lined up just like that. Do it again on this side. Fold that out. Swing that around. Fold that section up. And then bring it down and back and peg it in. So we got that done. Next, open up the chest here. And really what you're going to do is bring out this whole chest section. Bring the arms down and out to the side, give you some room to work with. And now we're going to start working on the head. Fold these green panels out to the side. They should friction into place, and sometimes they do pop off, but they can snap back into place. Yeah, as long as you're... Oh yeah, there we go. Then rotate the head around and then fold it up and over like that. And basically what you want to do is get what was the chest underneath what will be the cockpit in helicopter mode, and that will snap into place. A little fiddly, but you can get it. There you go. Now, this is the part where a lot of people have problems because they really don't understand what's going on. There's a gray section, there's a gray hinge right here that is very tight. And basically what I recommend is you got to come in, push it back. That will loosen it up. But you got to push it back all the way until you want to hear that snap. And then what you can do is come and actually you got to hear it snap twice. So like that. When you hear that second snap, you know it's all the way back, and you can come and bring the pack back down and peg it into place into the heels. Make sure that's all lined up. That will help keep the tail section and that's hip section all in place. Make sure that those front green panels are down. Now, to finish us off, we're going to go ahead and bring, you want the inner metallic gray, gunmetal gray hinge section laying flat, and bring it in and down. And there are tabs here and here that will go into the forearm. And make sure you have it lined up just right. That should, just like that. Make sure I have it correct. Just like that. So usually what I like to do, and here I'll do it from the bottom, get it in there. Maybe if you get one in, you can kind of finagle the other, and just like that. And here you have the helicopter transformed. the next step is to come in and add the accessories. The guns will peg in on here, and now on mine, they peg in one, like the front of the rifle, that the one without the edges pegs in easier on this side. They're supposed to be interchangeable, but it doesn't work. Now what is nice is, if you notice, there are grooves in these little hinges which allow you to peg in this rifle, and it will hinge in, it will hook in with those little tabs that can hold the sword, which I think is really nice. Come in, add the rotor blade, and there you have the helicopter mode. Very indicative of its classic G1 look. I kind of like it. Like I said, that hinge point here with the torso and the backpack, that's the problem point. That's for both modes. For both vehicle modes, it has to be snapped all the way back with those double snaps. If you don't hear the two snaps, it's not going to be that far back enough, and this will not properly peg into position. The other section you want to make note of are the shoulders and arms. For helicopter mode, they come back like this, allowing this front end to stick forward, whereas in car mode, which we'll see in a few minutes, they tend to come a little more forward. And that just has to do with working that inner hinge system and having it laying flat in a proper manner. So we'll pause and we'll get into car mode. Okay, I went ahead and removed the rotor blades and guns so we can start with the core of the figure. What I would do first is detach this backpack section, just bring that up and let it hover, and we're going to start working on the arms to get them into position. And what you're going to have to do now is sort of retransform the arms, because you have to flip those panels back in. So bring it down, rotate it around, telescope it, fold that in, and then bring it back up. And there it is, ready for car mode. Do the same thing on this side, bring it down, rotate it around, close it up, and then peg it back in. I mean, you can start positioning the arms, but they really won't peg into the end because we have some work to do on the leg section. And with this leg section, what you want to do is come in, flip the feet out and around, go ahead and unpeg everything. Oh boy. Oh, that's a tight connection right here in the back. There we go. Rotate them around at that lighter green piece, and you're going to basically go back and bring the hips back into position, which means up, up, and then back down as if you're going back into car mode. Now, this is a part where a lot of people also get lost. There's a hinge in here, which some people will think is a double knee. It's not. It's actually the hinge for car mode. So you want to whip that around. While you're doing that, peg that side panel back in so the wheel is facing outward. And bring that inner panel up, just like so. And you'll flip the foot around and make sure it comes in underneath. That heel piece comes in underneath that section right there with the canopy. Here, I'll do it again. Flip that in, whip this around, rotate that heel section up, in, and just get it right underneath. Oh, no, it's actually right there. That heel should sit right there in that position. You can then, of course, peg the legs together if they want to be nice and go together. Make sure everything's lined up. you have everything seated. And since you already have that torso back, you can just bring this down and peg it into place. Make sure it's even and flat. There you go. There you go. And now for the arms, bring them up, and remember, you want the front end facing forward, so it'll just slide them up so that the gunmetal gray tab is facing out. We'll peg into the forearm, and you have the front end done. Tight, tight, tight. And there's the car mode. Not that hard at all. Now, for the accessories, basically you go for this combined gun mode, and you shove it in right down at the top. Now, I noticed that when you peg the gun, the handle of the gun, into that gray section, it kind of tightens the spin up, that it actually does not rotate like willy-nilly. So, I guess that's a good thing. Maybe it's just mine. I'm not sure. But I do like car mode. I'm more of a helicopter guy, so I kind of like helicopter mode better. But it is nice to have this update to Springer. And, you know, again, just working the hinges for the torso. That's what you have to do. So, I like it. We'll pause, and we'll be back with my final thoughts. I was very excited when Springer was originally announced to be part of the Siege line, because while I like the Thrilling 30 version of Springer, it really didn't capture that look from the movie and season 3 of the original cartoon. This one does. Now, do I think this is a perfect Springer? No. I'd like to see one more version of Springer, possibly done in a deluxe scale, but probably would have to stick at Voyager, without the battle damage, that really captures that animation look with the single gun and the sword that turns into rotor blades. I guess that'll have to be the Masterpiece version, because this is as close as we're probably going to get right now. But Hasbro is known to surprise people. I got this figure off of Amazon, and surprisingly, it was one of the few pre-orders I did that they actually shipped it out when they said they would, and I got it when they said they would. I do appreciate you all taking the time to watch this video. I know countless other reviewers have already covered Springer, but like I said, I still saw that people were having problems, and I wanted to make sure and try it. Well, I wanted to try and help and make sure you had another voice in the wind that could probably clarify things. Plus, I like showing these alternate transformations for triple changers, so that you can go, it really is a circular system, and you can go to any mode at any time. So, this is your old pal Chuck for Springer. We will see you next time.